right now, I want to switch gears and look at the state of Illinois. It's no secret that their system is broken in Illinois in a variety of ways, but the budget is the greatest in-your-face example of that. You finally got a governor who, for whatever faults he brings to the job, is a businessman who understands the bottom line. Bottom line is you've got to operate within a budget or you waste money, and that's what's going on in the state of Illinois. They still don't have a budget. There's still talk of a grand compromise of some sort that hasn't happened. But in the meantime, the state is suffering as a result of that and probably several other reasons, not including the taxation issue, which may end up being what is the grand compromise, which amazes me. The grand compromise in the budget negotiation is going to be a tax increase again in Illinois. We're joined right now by Michael Lucci with the Illinois Policy Institute. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well despite these talks of the tax hike, but thank you very much for having me on.
Well, yeah, not to depress you, but I'm not surprising you with that. I mean, that is a big part of what they had talked about for this grand bargain, right?
Right, and that's something that we at Illinois Policy fight every day. We think it's unfair that the one thing lawmakers agree on is that we need to raise taxes on Illinoisans. And as people on the Missouri side of the border know, there's a whole lot of Illinoisans moving from Illinois to Missouri. There's a whole lot of Illinoisans moving to Indiana, to Iowa, Wisconsin, and specifically the millennials are moving out because the millennials, the young working adults and the college students are getting such a raw deal here. They don't have enough jobs here. The cost of living is too high, and they get a lot of taxes like property taxes that are very unfair to them. And so millennials are the group that's leaving Illinois fastest. Millennials are leaving Illinois faster than they're leaving any other state in the country. And Illinoisans should pause and think about that and then wonder who's going to pay the bills for all the debt we're racking up if our young adults are getting out of here.
Yeah, where does that end? I mean,
Well, that ends in Texas. It ends in Colorado. It ends in Tennessee.
That's true.
That's where these guys are going to. That for these millennials, the Illinois story ends in Texas, or it ends in Colorado. It ends in the state of Washington. It ends in these states that millennials are moving to that have a lower cost of living, better job creation, and just a more fair deal for young working adults who are looking to pay down their student loans, who are looking to buy that first home and put down roots. Illinois is not giving those folks a good deal. If you want to put roots down here, which I've done, but if you want to do that, you have to accept the fact that your property taxes are going to be coming after you for a while. You need to accept the fact that your government has been completely out of control and it's not looking to get itself in order. And you need to accept the fact that you have to fight for your job opportunities here because there aren't enough of them. So that's what's happening in Illinois. And again, I think people should be alarmed in Illinois because it's not just snowbirds leaving for Florida. There is some of that, but that's not all it is. The fastest group getting out of Illinois are kids going to college in other states and young working adults who are picking up and they're moving out of states to get that next job and to start their family.
We're talking to Michael Lucci from the Illinois Policy Institute. Even today, even while we're talking about this, a group of Democrats in Springfield have unveiled their plan for free college education because clearly that would keep people in the state of Illinois.
Well, this is exactly what the state of New York did.
Yeah.
They came out. They're losing all these millennials. New York's the only other state that's near where we are on losing these young adults. So New York's losing all these kids, and they say, all right, we'll give you free college tuition. Great. So you're going to give them free tuition, which is largely going to benefit wealthier kids, and then they're going to take their free college degree, and they're going to move to Texas. They're going to move to Colorado. They're going to move to those same states. This is what you do when you have no solutions, which is where the Illinois Democrats are. They have no solutions other than to raise taxes, to further regulate businesses out of this state, to raise the minimum wage, and do all these things that'll just worsen the situation. So on the back end, they recognize we have a problem. We're losing so many millennials here. And so they say, let's give them free college tuition and work out the details later. They come up with these sort of absurd ideas after allowing college tuition to go up year after year after year in Illinois. They're going to say, all right, now we're going to make it free, and we'll work out the budgetary side of that later.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how they were going to. Now, just to be specific here for a moment, this is only a House bill. It hasn't been voted on or anything, but it would provide people a grant per eligible continuously enrolled student earning a B or better GPA. So they'd have to keep the grades up, but if their family earned less than 125 grand a year, then they could apply this to community colleges or universities or whatever they wanted to use it for. I'm not saying I agree with it. I just wanted to be specific on what it is. It's not free college for everybody. You would have to qualify with a certain grade point average in order to get that. So,
and what they should do is they should look at why tuition is going up across the board, no matter what your income is, no matter what your grade level is. Tuition is rising across the board in Illinois. They should address that problem, because people of all income levels are being hurt by that, and people of all income levels are leaving the state of Illinois because of the tuition and because of the cost of living. And so we should all have sympathy for groups who we want to be able to have that college education, but we should look at the broader picture, which is the state is depopulating, the state is shrinking, and millennials are the ones getting out of here fastest. You don't solve that by trying to carve out a special deal instead of dealing with the major problem, which is Illinois spending problems. That's the cancer. You don't solve it by putting a Band-Aid on it, and that's what they're talking about doing here.
Boy, that's the truth. You can rob Peter to pay Paul until Peter's broke, and Peter in this case represents the next generation, of workers who are millennials who are coming up through the ranks but are choosing to go somewhere else. Who are they going to get the money from in the future?
Right. Peter's broke here. So Illinois has been robbing Peter to pay Paul for generations, and now Peter's broke. And the millennials see it or they feel it, and they're moving out. There aren't any more games left that Illinois could really play. We've played out every sort of liberal policy experiment you could really try, except for a few, and they've all ended in a disaster, and they all end in, I mean, here's who's leaving the state of Illinois fastest: young working adults and our black population. That's who's getting out of Illinois the fastest. So after all these years of all these liberal policies, our black population is getting out of Illinois, and our young working adults are getting out of Illinois. It's totally unfair what they've done to this state, and they need to reform it. They need to fix how we do taxes, fix how we do regulations, and fix how we do all the things that drive up the cost of living here, because otherwise people are just going to keep piling in the van and getting out of the state.
I love the website for the Illinois Policy Institute. If illinoispolicy.org, you go to their website. One of the articles is Illinois owes $3.5 million in past due utility bills. How do they keep the lights on in that state?
They go begging to their utility provider. They say, "Don't turn it off. We'll try to pay you when we can." And it's not just utility bills. It's health insurance. It's things for people who really need it. Social services. They're not paying these folks because what we do in Illinois is we prioritize special interest government spending over everything else. And so when there's not enough money, a lot of our government unions who are quite powerful, they get paid first, and then other special interests get theirs next. Mm-hmm. And then the social services, people who really need state spending, they get hung out to dry. And that's exactly what's happening in Illinois right now. Social services are going belly up here, and a lot of people who really should be helped aren't getting help because the legislature puts them at the bottom of the priority list. That needs to be flipped on its head. We should take care of the people who really need help first, and we should make cuts and reforms within government so that we could save taxpayer money that's getting more and more scarce. I mean, we have people leaving the state fast enough that they're taking a lot of tax money with them. So we should change how we do that and put people who need help first in the line, and honestly put the politicians and the government bureaucracy, put it last in the line.
Yeah, that's true. That sounds similar to the budget that President Trump rolled out, and then Mick Mulvaney was talking about this morning in terms of the approach to spending and the approach to borrowing, and it just needs to be turned on its head is effectively what he said this morning, and I thought it was a very good point. Listen, Michael Lucci, thanks so much for pointing that out. I'll direct people to your website, illinoispolicy.org, to read more on this growing problem and this new study that's out on millennials fleeing the state.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be on.
Have a great day, Michael. Appreciate that. Good to get him on there talking about that. I mean, I guess it's not a huge surprise. I love the reaction from my 9-year-old. She had to have one of those fidget spinner things. So we go to Five Below,
right?
Where there were rumors that they had some,
right? They didn't.
Only to get there and realize that they had quickly sold out. This was about 2 months ago, I'm guessing, and then she found out that if they had them, the crisp $5 bill in her pocket wouldn't have paid for it because there would have been tax on top of it. Mm-hmm. And this was a fascinating concept to watch a 9-year-old wrap her brain around the fact that it's called Five Below, but you can't get anything for $5 because there's always tax on top of it.
Right.
So she really needed $6 to go to Five Below. So it was a learning moment in my household. My kids hate that. My daughter, who's now 22, told me one time, I was driving her back from swim practice. She got home, she told her mom, she goes, "Mom, 25 minutes in the car. When we got in the car, I made the mistake of asking Dad, who is Nancy Pelosi?"
Oh, no.
Oh. I got an eye roll, and 25 minutes later, she had her answer. So I've taught my kids try to avoid those learning moments whenever they can, but I thought that was an interesting one. And the millennials in Illinois are learning that it's being forced down their throat, unfortunately, and they're making the choice to leave instead of put up with these additional taxes and this basically tax on their future that they're facing over there. All right, 3-1.